So these are the things we're doing today. We are almost there, guys. 9.4 means the fourth day of week 9, and as you see, right, this week we focus on the projects and the content that we have, right, tend to push people to some new areas to learn, but it's not required for everyone to take the same path. So yesterday we had a lab on this, React app on the front end, Rails on the back end. Has anyone started on that? No, right? Very good. It means you guys prioritize your project, which is fantastic. So that is still a component that we can still go back to today. That's one thing. However, I'd like you guys to also do something quite small that's getting started on being on an Ubuntu box. So your laptop may be a Mac, maybe Windows or an Ubuntu server, right? When you put your Rails app on a server that is not Heroku, it most likely is going to be on Ubuntu. So it's important to learn the command line, the Ubuntu thing well, because what you end up doing is you will go into that server and the only thing you have there is the command line. You don't have a graphical user interface. Right? There's not much you can do besides just the command line, one line at a time. This is also why I use Vim, the text editor, right? Because it can be done via the command line. There's no VS Code when you SSH into Ubuntu, for example. Yeah.
Is Ubuntu a type of Linux?
Mm-hmm. Ubuntu is an operating system built on top of the Linux kernel, and so technically Linux is built on top of the Unix kernel, and then Ubuntu is one of the Linux distribution. So it can be pretty confusing to identify what it is. So we can start Googling, what is Unix, what is Linux, what is Ubuntu, and but yeah, so it's a bit. I think this makes a very good background reading. So I should link, right? I should link it here. So Ubuntu is part of the Debian family of Linux distributions. Just Ubuntu has become the most popular. It's just really beautiful, powerful to learn. Okay?
Okay, last question. Because I've played around with this before, and on DigitalOcean, I set up a server. It was like an AMP stack.
Yeah.
So that was Linux. Was that also Ubuntu, or was that something?
Yeah. So you likely have to choose either Ubuntu or there's a mainstream Debian, or there's another variation like Mint or CentOS. A lot of different servers. So I think this is a very good background reading. So I'll just add it so far. Add it here. So that. Okay. So to give you a preview of what's happening today, right? Is to understand why we need this. So in the past, if you have a project. So let's take our any Rails project that we have. So I'm going to take my BWeb app right here. Okay? And normally, how do I deploy to production? Git push Heroku master. Right? Now, so you push to Heroku master. Now you have one server. and then it's good. Then you tell your friends, hey guys, sign up, via Facebook or anything. Start using my app, and then you start adding servers. So you realize that you want to have another server, so you can ask your close friends to test, but the public friends, right, should still use something that's stable. I talked about that. Then instead of git push Heroku master, what do? We change the name of the remote. We're gonna say, hey, if I just code something and I don't know if it works well or not, I'm gonna do git push stack master. Okay. Now, if I feel that it's really good, I'm confident that this is nice. After you do the stack thing, you can migrate the data on the stack, the staging server. You can run the Rails console there, etc. After you feel really confident, then you do git push prod master, right? Now, when you on Heroku, you have a prod server, and you add an add-on like SendGrid for mailing, Redis for action cable, or for background jobs. Redis is a database, a key value data store. So it's like a database server. It's powerful. It works well with Rails. So that's another Heroku add-on. So imagine you do Heroku add-on create, right? Then you say it's SendGrid. That's for mailing. You say Redis to go. That is the Redis server. I don't know. There may be other things like Papertrail. Have I shown you how to use Papertrail? In your Heroku app, if you add Papertrail, all the Heroku logs will be saved into a database for you. So anything that user did in the past is all in that log, and then you can search. There's just a lot of useful and free add-ons. So imagine, right? Initially you do this, all of this get added to Heroku. And then you want to create this prod and stack. That's why I said we should check out Heroku fork. When you Heroku fork, you fork from, let's say, the BR1 Heroku app. I fork it to BR1 stack, for example, right? Name of your Heroku app, and then the second one. This is my second Heroku app. So it copies all the add-ons, so you don't have to do all the work again. From now on, if I want to check out the list of add-ons in each project on Heroku, then, for example, here, you guys see that I only have one add-on. There's not much there. So if I start adding one more, you see every time I do anything now, I need -r prod because there is more than one, right, Heroku app. If I do this, for example, if I just want to list the add-on, it will say there are multiple Heroku apps. Which one do you want to run? Right? Oh my god, I have so many. So, in fact, this is listing all the add-ons of all your Heroku apps. But so, what else is, let's say if I want to add SendGrid. Ready? So then it will complain like this, multiple apps, right? Heroku try to understand that, do you have any Git remote that is this the URL like this, and it can detect. So if you only have one, then it always know what to run. So, but now you have two, so I have to say, all right, I'm going to add it to prod like this. We have learned how to add an add-on with add-ons create. You can view the documentation how to set it up with Heroku add-on docs. Now, after you add to prod, how do you add to stack?
Just add stack.
Yeah. You already forked, so technically now stack is, it's something that you also have to add manually. From now on, if you add an add-on, you just do it manually. Okay. And of course, if you want, you can delete this whole stack thing. Maybe add on, I don't know, it may work, huh? Destroy, the stack thing. And then you can fork it again, if you like. When you fork, then Heroku will create a new SendGrid add-on, a new password and username for that app. So that's the idea. There are different ways you can do with Heroku for production. So why should we use Heroku? Why have we been using Heroku in the past 4 weeks? It's the easiest way to put an app on production. Yes.
And I was just reading yesterday. It's security-wise.
Yeah.
Especially if you don't know what you're doing. Apparently, like they keep up to date with vulnerabilities.
It's also one of the most secure way. Your Rails app now is hosted on something that is. It's like you putting all your goods, expensive diamonds, right? You're selling it in Vincom. You're selling it in a building with tight security cameras everywhere, right? Then it's pretty safe, even though it still may not be safe if your windows and the locks are not good. But that is like already very safe. So if you sell diamonds on the street, you're not within any container here, right? Heroku is like your this security building that can cover that for you. If you do it yourself, you're gonna have to have the lock to the building, and that's what we're doing today. And it's riskier, but there are also best practices we can follow. What is what?
What is the name of the service?
Yeah, Heroku is called a platform as a service.
Name of the... So you have a server, right? Server is in it, right?
So Heroku, actually, it may be interesting to explore. When Amazon, when GitHub was popular, first when Git was popular 10 years ago, right? Just a little over 10 years, that's when Git became popular, and Ruby becomes very popular as well. So around that time, then GitHub becomes super popular, right? And Heroku is a way to deploy your Rails app, which is, everyone was building on Rails. The easiest way to do that. Something else was popular too, Amazon Cloud. That's when Amazon was really starting to take over the world. Starting only, now it is taking over, right? So Heroku basically writes something that if you push to Heroku, it's a Git place, you push to it, Heroku will say, all right, I'm going to put your code on a server on Amazon. And I'm going to do that, right, using Amazon, and I take care of everything. Setting up server account, and then when you deploy, everything is set up, and you just need to pay me. You pay me a higher rate. You should pay me $30 a month. Now, so Heroku can do something like that, and then Heroku just pay Amazon, and they come up with structure. This thing, it's called the Heroku Dino Grid. So it's very powerful. Where if you deploy an app, it just creates some virtual server around it, and when you need it, it spin it up. After a few minutes, you don't need it, it just destroy it. And you push again, you go to the URL again, it quickly start up something, put your app in there, and run. It can do that in a very fast way. So each of these is called a dyno instead of a server. And then there's a dyno manager that can decide how powerful it should be, and whether it should should stop the server to save resources, or should keep it alive. And you can choose to pay for the more expensive, more powerful dyno. Does that seem to make a little sense? So there are different tiers here. Automating this is, it's just help people save time and money and take care of security. But it's a platform as a service. You have heard of a lot of things as a service. Software as a service means what? Your clients pay you monthly subscription for a service instead of running the software on the computer. But then you're like, but I can create my own software, so why should I pay for your software as a service? Now you create your software, but you need to run somewhere. You can build your own server, but then you will have the security issue. It's safe, it's in this building. You put your server in the Vincom building, but your server can still be attacked online, right? The hard drives are kind of safe, someone's not going to go in there and take out your hard drive. It's protected from flood, maybe, but you're still a little, not very secure. There's some work. You need an admin, to manage all of this. So that's why the idea of platform as a service. Then it grows. If you suddenly have 1 million users this month, and then next month is back to 1,000 users, right? Using a virtual platform like Heroku, you can scale and say, hey, this month I'm going to pay you $1,000, but next month I'll go back to paying you $10. If you do it in real life, there's no way you can do that. You're going to have to buy all these servers, set it up, and then you have to go and try to sell these servers, or try to do something about it, right? So the cloud, right? Virtualization of this whole thing is a huge cost saving factor. The only downside is that you do not have the hard drives here with you. While it seems more secure, but if you put your virtual server on somewhere like DigitalOcean or there's so many of them. I'm blanking out on them right now. But if they get hacked, right, then you and a lot of other people may get compromised. So platform as a service is that they provide the infrastructure for you. Sometimes you hear the word beside platform. It's actually infrastructure as a service as well. It seems a little more advanced. Maybe it's like infrastructure as a service is, I think, in a platform. It's okay. Let's see which one makes more sense. Are you putting an infrastructure on top of a platform, or are you putting a platform on top of an infrastructure?
Infrastructure sounds like the most basic to me.
Yeah, so it means you start out as an infrastructure, right? It means the hardware, software, blah, blah, it's like the scaffolding of things. And then on it, then you can build a platform. So you can either get a platform as a service and then you put your software on it, or you get an infrastructure as a service and then you put your platform and then put your software on top of the platform. Yeah.
Can we quickly, maybe, can you go just very quickly over like the different choices and when what makes sense, like Heroku, AWS,
Absolutely.
DigitalOcean, like how do you figure out which one to go with?
Yeah, so let's add some resources here. Now, TAs, if you find anything interesting around this topic, share on Slack.
Most services, you can choose which country and
Yeah.
which area you want your service to be.
So
They all have multiple applications.
So my style is sometimes go down to one specific one, learn the basics of that one. For the rest of it, we can talk about it, but I don't prepare this very high level charts. It's most likely available online. So like Oscar said, I'll explain a little bit slowly from now. You understand if you do Heroku, you can handle multiple servers very easily like this. All you do most of the time is just Heroku, either Rails console. You can just go into the app, or you can go into this one, which may be interesting to you, where Heroku run bash. So you actually log into the server that runs your Rails app, and then you can do various things to it. So I'm gonna start trying. Maybe I'll go here. This will segue into the Linux Ubuntu thing. Okay. Now, you notice it's a little slow, right? It's a very fast way of booting up a server, but they're not really doing a server. They just have some free server space, and when you do this, they just give you a little container to run your app. So it's like you just create a new server. When you quit, it just kills that. So it's bash. So technically, you can learn all this command line in here too. So your Rails app is put there, and that's all you have. So it's powerful, but also very limiting. It's powerful because why? You now know, hey, did I put that file on the server? Now you can go here and check. Okay. And for example, what is in my public folder? Right? Okay, it's like, so you see that when you deploy, actually, you can also check this. This is ignored by GitHub, right? By Git. So you can actually see that, oh, Heroku compiled these files over, and you have all of these. You can go here and check the content. This is the compiled data, right? Assets, JavaScript and CSS files. All right, so you have that. but your PostgreSQL somewhere else, all you have is just you seeing your code here, that's it. Now, what we're doing today is to get used to the fact that you having this terminal, you see how powerful this terminal is, you can do a lot of things on your laptop. Windows, computers, you don't really have the terminal. That's why it's even more important for you to learn Ubuntu. So very quickly, the next option we're doing is that we have a website, let's say yourserver.com, right? So you buy a domain name, you attach it to a server IP address, and from then on, you can just go SSH into the server. So for example, your SSH is your username, or maybe I call it deploy. You go here, and that is similar to your Heroku run bash. Except over there, you may have PostgreSQL installed in the same box. You may have something that takes care of scheduling the jobs, reminders to run certain emails to users. Everything in that box. Why? Save money. Why pay for many servers, right? And it's hard to maintain. So AWS, DigitalOcean, Linode, Rackspace, these are just places that you can just buy your own server. You say, I need 4 GB of RAM, I need this 256 GB of hard drive space, I need it to run Ubuntu version 4.16.06. That's it. They give you that, you log in, and you start installing. So you need to install something like Ruby Gems first, right? And then from then you start installing gem install Rails, etc., etc. So we'll learn how to do that from an empty Ubuntu box. Okay, so normally the journey of learning how to use Ubuntu, it takes a while. So hopefully I can provide you a crash course.
Only for smiling.
Huh?
Only for smiling.
Only Fu is smiling, yeah. Yeah, now I'm the boss, right? Fu is like, come here and check my Ubuntu. So I think Fu knows his Ubuntu very well, so that's why I call it Ubuntu. So, but the two most common option is that if you look at Amazon, Amazon has so many services. This is Elastic Cloud. That's Amazon Elastic Cloud is something that basically imagine that is the infrastructure that Heroku uses, right? And so you can basically say, give me this space, this much storage, this operating system, and then you run it. Now this is similar to DigitalOcean. And you pick one of them, but DigitalOcean, why would someone use DigitalOcean over AWS EC2? Can someone guess? Come again? Documentation, you see, DigitalOcean, FreeCodeCamp, they get a lot of following because they write fantastic documentation, right?
Yeah,
Articles.
I wasn't able to follow their documentation on setting up a lab stack, like knowing nothing.
Yeah.
When I set up a server, like from AWS. No, on DigitalOcean. So I knew no command line, almost none, and I was able to use their.
All right. Now, it's very similar. So you have a lot of guys like DigitalOcean, a lot of them because they all just taking advantage of some backend. Some build their own, some run on AWS. Okay, some just like, for example, if we start a company here in Vietnam and we want to serve Vietnamese customers, that's something is as inconvenient as DigitalOcean. The best way for us is to go buy a ton of servers, and then we're gonna start learning how to manage that and use some infrastructure setup. It's cost effective, right? If I set it up on AWS and I provide my service similar to DigitalOcean, then I have to pay, how many cents? 1 cent per minute, 1 cent per hour, and then that's okay. It saves a lot of time, but this is the American cost. So it may be more expensive. Okay, so nowadays you guys see that there are just a ton of services there. That's why the ability to self-learn is important. We were just learning like Heroku right here. Beyond Heroku today. We're just looking at Elastic Cloud, but you see you could do it, put your whole code in Docker, which is a container, and then the container is put in a container service inside a server, so inside an operating system. So it's so much, right? So we use so far is simple storage. S3, that is just the place where it just store your files for you, and it serves the files very fast. If you put any of the images on your own server, then Rails have to serve those files, and it counts as a request. So every time your page loads 10 images, that's 10 extra requests to your page, besides going to /home, and that makes your web really busy, right? You don't want that. Right, Rails take care of any dynamic request. Static request, anything that you say it's always the same when you hit it, then you should go put it somewhere else. And S3 is a fantastic place for that, where you put files in a bucket. Remember the bucket? All right, upload files into a bucket. So now EC2 is where I'm going. I'm here right now, and it's called an instance. So you can have a server up and running. You can create an instance like this, choose a server. As you can see, these are different types of server. They are all Linux distros. You can also choose Windows. I don't know if they have Mac or not. Maybe not. Some providers have Mac, not Amazon, I think. So Mac, it's cool because then you can connect over something like called, what's it called? VPC? I forgot now. I'm blanking out. So it's actually connecting, and actually you can use a remote desktop experience.
I have that set up with a PC.
Yeah.
I have one like a server now.
Right. So that's the RDP, remote desktop protocol. But there's also something I'm blanking out. It's a more standard protocol. Yeah, but in general, the way to be really a good programmer is that it's just a terminal, right? We're doing the really old school way. Okay, so Amazon is cool. Once you set up the credit card, you can have a free trial. And this account that I set up is for our class. It's a free trial, so the risk is quite low. That if you leak my keys, it just uses some storage, but it's still within the free plan. So this is very generous, right? It's nice. DigitalOcean, you need a credit card, and then it's not free, so you're gonna go there and you say, okay, pay $5 a month for a very minimum box. You don't have to think very much. You know you're gonna pay $5 a month. Amazon, you put it up there, and then you're not careful, it may scale up. Oh, this is 1 cent per hour. This other thing is 10 cents per hour, and then you get the bills like, oh, by the way, someone used your key, so they put another computing instance in there, so your bill is $1,000 this month, no big deal. So that is the risk. There's more complexity to wrap your head around. Yeah, you get that, right? And then you can write to Heroku support. They're so wonderful. Not Heroku, Amazon. They're like, okay, we'll forgive you this time. So be careful of that. All right. So at the end of the day, after you choose DigitalOcean or Heroku, what you get is this. What you get is an IP address. Yeah? What you get is an IP address. So let's say 123.123.123, and you get this IP address and you can SSH into it. Secure. It's a secure connection. You log in with username, password, right? And then you can just check your server in there. How do you put your Rails code on the server and run it? Think about that. So FTP is one. So here's a server as an example. So I'm gonna do it again. So I have this IP address, right? Let's see. I just create this, and I have a server here. Imagine on Amazon or DigitalOcean, it's all the same, right? So what's next is I'm going to SSH into this IP address. Now I write this because next time I need to change this box to another IP. I still can type the same line. I just need to set a different value for domain. All right. So depending on your setup, you may not have a passphrase. Now your computer, you log in now to the server, and now you're on your own. Everything is just, Linux stuff, cool stuff like that you can do on the server here. So then you're like, okay, what Rails version I have? Do I need to Rails install this? Blah, blah, blah. So Oscar just say FTP is one way of uploading your files to the server. That's one of the old school way. And you need like a software to do it. You drag drop this folder and then hit upload. We're better than this, right? And don't need any graphical user interface. How do you put your app here? Another way. How do I run my human book app?
Keep full?
Exactly. So what prevents you from running Git on the server? So you have Git, right? So what I can do is that I maybe make here, create a folder called like apps, and I go in there and then I type git clone, okay? Git clone. So git clone, maybe let's just any URL. So I'm not gonna clone it. Now, actually git clone, I need to explain something else as well. When you git clone, you can copy this URL. If it's a public repository, right, then the HTTPS version is the easiest way. It's like that. So every time you pull, an HTTPS repository, because it's public, so there's no username and password. Ask. Done. Right? If you use this one, where is it? SSH. I'm going to try this.
We need to upload the key.
Git clone, right? This is example 2. I tried cloning again. Now, then it will check, right? That's something that is called the SSH key. It will check if this computer, this is the server, right? Over there, it has a recognized key, right? That GitHub can allow you to clone. Basically, you can only clone an SSH, this is the SSH way, if you are a kind of user who can SSH to GitHub. You can SSH into a server using username, password, or an SSH key. If you can get into that server, it means later you can git clone from it. So let's see, do I have it set up? And you see that this is permission denied. So what I mean earlier is actually GitHub has basically I cannot have the permission to SSH to GitHub. I don't have the key set up. Now in your lab, then you going to set up here. Go here and set up the key if you don't have it. This is your computer. But if you want to be able to git clone on this server, create a server. I'll show you how to create a server. Go to GitHub, follow this instruction, and add the key of this box to GitHub. And now you can clone from GitHub. Is that clear? Does that make sense? You can git clone like this if you set up the SSH keys. And on Windows computer, we always recommend this practice because if you use username and password, it works. Now this practice here is more common on Linux. So the Windows people will have to learn that today. Go in here and set up a key, right? On your Mac, all of you have set up the SSH keys. Okay, one extra advanced stuff is that if I SSH from my computer into this server, I can set up a setting to say this server can also use my SSH key when it talks to GitHub. That's called forwarding an SSH setting. And if I do that, it's quite powerful because it's quite safe. If I go to the server and from my computer, GitHub will allow that. If a stranger go to my server and then try to talk to GitHub, that stranger is coming from somewhere else that GitHub doesn't recognize, then it doesn't work. Okay, sorry, that bit is slightly more advanced. So if that doesn't make sense to you, just ask me later. The idea is that you don't have to set up SSH key on this machine. If you tell your computer to forward your SSH, so GitHub will allow that. Now, you don't have to worry about that today. What's next is that you can clone. Then now you have to run Rails server. Right? How do you run it?
Rails S.
Sure. So you can run Rails S and then it will be like localhost 3000. Now you will have to set up something that when someone visits your IP address on the web, if they type the IP address or the domain name, it will go to the default port 80. So you have to forward the content from port 80 to port 3000. That's one way. Another way is to run Rails like this. Wait, why do I not have this? Okay. Run this and tell it to use some a different port. Right? Maybe, I don't know if it works or not. Rails server, like, port 80. This, for example, Rails will be standing on this port and accepting requests from outside. Now, this way is very bad. Basically, in general, okay, you do this and then what? You leave the server running, you have Rails running like this. Right? It's also, this is very development. Like, it's not production ready. Now, what happens if you make changes?
Because also you can't log in then, right? Because it's like running, so you can't.
Oh, no problem. You can put it in the background.
Okay.
Then this will just run in the background and accept the request. You can give this a try. It's in your lab today. You can try it. Yeah. But today, just try this. For tomorrow, I'll continue this, and I'll ask you, what if you deploy something? You go here, you run the server, and it breaks. And you don't know, but your user calls you and say, hey, my credit card doesn't work, or it's something important, and you're like, oh crap, I need to fix it right now. Or you deploy to production, it's sending the user an email every minute. I need to fix it right now. With Heroku, it's easy. You can just say Heroku rollback. Heroku will throw away your latest deployment, go back to the previous one, and then run the server on that. Isn't that beautiful? Heroku keeps track of all your past deployment.
It keeps the database as it is and just rolls back.
Yeah, rolls back there. Because the database is a different server.
Yeah.
But your breaking code changes is bad, right? Yeah. Now database, you can set up the same thing. Database backup every day, roll back to the previous day. That is a different process. There's an add-on for that. Now on this server, then you're like, okay, great. Where's my node? All right, SSH into the server, CD into that place, kill the Rails server, git log, look at the git, okay, reset to the previous git commit, oh, run Rails server again, let's test. Right? That doesn't sound right. So tomorrow you learn the beautiful way. If you run your own, it's beautiful. Every time you deploy, you create a folder for that release. Another folder for the release, and next time you want to change, you just go back to the previous release. So it's beautiful. But that's for future thoughts. Again, today is to understand that besides the overall picture, right? We're not talking about Heroku, we're just looking at an Ubuntu box, right? How you familiarize yourself with some basic Ubuntu command line, and then try to do some Rails, play around with Rails on it. Then after we understand that, okay, we're in control of all of this, we will learn to use a library. If you have heard of Capistrano or Mina, or there's a few, it will automatically take your code on GitHub and put it on the server and set up to the right folders and files. All right, hello. You wanna say hi, or I can pause the lecture a little bit. Oh yeah, sure. All right, so I'll continue. Huh.
But I have a question.
Yep. Come again?
So I lectured to the I did it yesterday.
Because I'm here.
All right, I'm gonna pretend I did not hear that. Yeah.
So it's taking the code from GitHub and putting it in the right folders. Is it also running it, or what is going to run it?
And
If we're not doing Rails server.
you will have a more powerful way to run it.
Yeah.
It will run the process as the daemon, and it's run in the background. And then what if someone crashes your server, right? Because someone just visit and then hit the place whether there are too many requests or there's something bad, it crashes, right? The server or the Rails process will die. You know, the Linux setup is that you can set up something that observes that and wake up the process, so make sure it's always alive. Okay? Or like, you know, one Rails process can only take 100 requests per minute, right? Maybe 20 requests per second. I don't know, just some number. And now you can, depending on your memory, this CPU power, multiple core, you can run multiple Rails servers to handle all of that, talking to the same database. Okay, so here's the fun part. You will not find this anywhere, but I have to find something that it's nice, that is like usable for those of you who don't have a credit card, who, you know, we don't have a DigitalOcean, and I need to find, my criteria is to find an Ubuntu box that is free, that you can do whatever you want with it, and there are no consequences, right? So, fortunately for us, this is a service that will, in the background, connect to Amazon, use the free trial, and does everything for you. You just go here, log in with GitHub, and you can create a new server. And you can name it however you want. Choose here is an operating system, and we only try to do Ubuntu. Tomorrow I'll show you how to set everything up from scratch using just Ubuntu here. But for today, just start with this one. It installs Rails and Ruby and all of that for you already. So you can just, you know, just install the newer version of Rails and then start running it. Just practice one small thing at a time. And here's the server location. Right, so you can choose Singapore because it's the closest to us, and that will be a little faster. Now here, you all can choose the 2 hours tier. So practice whatever you want. You know that this box is going to die in 2 hours. Then you can try again. Now you understand why I use the IP thing. Where is it? I have an IP address here I can access, but in the future it may be a different box. So that's why you can just do this. Each time you set up a new, what I did was that I export this variable domain to be this address, and then every time I run example like this, oops, and then, you know, every time I want to SSH, so the root is the user, and then I use this variable in bash. You will have to learn a little bit about bash, and this is how you use declare variable. This is an environment variable that sometimes you use in Rails, and then we tend to capitalize them, and then this is how you use it with a $sign. This is reading and this is setting. Now SSH into it and practice, right? But to SSH into that, you need to set up a key. So go to GitHub, set up a key so you can SSH to the box. No one else can do it. Only your laptop with your SSH key can do it, right? Can log into that box. So practice however you want, and then it'll die in 2 hours, and then you can try again. And when you do this, make sure you take note of things, right? If you try again, it's like jumping back in time. Now you know a little bit better. You go in there and say, oh, the first thing I should install is, the second thing I should install is. You keep practicing that. So I really like that idea. So I actually gave a talk at Ruby Unconference last year on how to deploy Rails using this one. It's just a 30-minute talk. It's quite fast, but I think if you interested, then that talk and so the notes in there is the advanced version. Go in there, install the library. You need to install something to compile your C library, compile something that's like XML. So then Rails depends on a lot of libraries. So I kind of know all the libraries you need to install. So I just do it one at a time. I don't install anything I don't need. But that's the advanced level, right? Right now, just go and create one that is install everything for you already, which is this version. If you go to this version, right now it's a little hard, right? A lot of libraries just maybe a little, it's not clear to you what libraries you need. System libraries. Okay, so then have fun. Any question before you get started? No rush, yeah? But basically we don't have to do it right now because I do want to make time today for other people check in, and then note that you have to record a GIF, just a quick, or YouTube, or just check in. You will thank me later. It's just good to force yourself to do it. Just show what you're doing here. It's a milestone check.
How long do you think is this like a 1-2 hour thing?
Yeah. It maybe shorter than that. So here's the setup is very fast. However, you may have fun by going to more, practice a few more command line tips and tricks here. Knowing a little bit of history is nice. Now, if you can set up Rails to run on that server like this, I don't have it here, okay? Then, if you can do that, actually maybe let's try. Maybe if I'm lucky, it may work. If you can do that, then at least show me that you can run it on ports 3000 like this. Go here and it runs Rails server. That would be pretty successful. I'd love to see that. Okay. All right. When do you want to do the check-in? I think that's just after lunch. That's fine. So when your brain is fresh, just work on the box.